The wedding of Thomas and Paris was everything a Forrester celebration promised to be: elegant, extravagant, and headline-worthy. After years of chaos, scandal, and emotional devastation, Thomas had finally found a woman who accepted both his brilliance and his darkness, someone who never tried to change or redeem him. Paris was poised, polished, and determined to stake her claim in the Forrester dynasty not just as Zen's forgotten flame or Carter's past mistake, but as Thomas's wife and the next lady of Forrester Creations. Their return to Los Angeles had been hailed as a fresh start, a clean slate. But the wedding bells hadn't even stopped ringing before the foundation of their marriage began to tremble, because on the very night Thomas pledged himself to Paris, he surrendered to Hope once again. Hope had remained quiet throughout the engagement. She had forced smiles, swallowed discomfort, and watched the man who once consumed her every thought slip out of her grasp without a word of protest. But inside, she was unraveling. Thomas wasn't just her colleague, her designer, her co-parent. He was the one man who had worshipped her beyond reason, and in his absence, she had come to crave that devotion. It wasn't until the wedding day that Hope finally admitted to herself what she could no longer deny: she was in love with Thomas Forrester. Her world with Liam had fractured beyond repair, and while the cracks had started long before Thomas's engagement, the final blow was the moment Thomas chose someone else. Hope didn't just lose a friend. She lost the fantasy of being loved unconditionally. On the night of Thomas and Paris's wedding, after the celebrations ended and the guests disappeared, Hope found herself standing outside Thomas's hotel suite, heart pounding, tears threatening to spill. She knocked once, unsure of what she even hoped to say. When Thomas opened the door, shirt half-buttoned, hair disheveled, he looked surprised, maybe even nervous. But all it took was Hope's trembling voice saying, "I made a mistake," and the entire structure of his new life collapsed. Their reunion wasn't slow or gentle. It was desperate, breathless, reckless. Thomas tried to resist, to push her away, to remind her that he was a married man now, but every word she said, every tear she shed, pulled him further into the spiral. He loved Paris, he truly believed that, but Hope had been the impossible dream he had tried to bury. And when that dream came to life again, in the most vulnerable, emotionally charged moment, he gave in. They made love, barely speaking, hearts full of guilt and longing. When Hope left before sunrise, Thomas lay beside his sleeping wife with shame thick in his chest, praying what had just happened would remain a secret forever. But secrets don't survive in Los Angeles, especially not when they involve Hope Logan. Paris had sensed it. Even before the wedding, she had seen the flickers of hesitation in Thomas's eyes when Hope was near. The stolen glances, the unfinished conversations, the tension that never quite went away. She tried to convince herself it was in the past. That what she and Thomas had was real, solid, untouchable. But the morning after their wedding, she woke up to an empty bed and a lingering perfume in the air that wasn't hers. It didn't take her long to confirm her worst fears. Security footage. A hotel clerk's innocent comment. A misplaced earring. Piece by piece, the puzzle came together, and with each revelation, Paris's heartbreak curdled into fury. But instead of confronting them, she smiled. She played the perfect wife. She planned brunches, walked hand in hand with Thomas in public, kissed him in front of cameras. And behind closed doors, she began plotting Hope's downfall with chilling precision. Then the next bombshell dropped. Hope was pregnant. Rumors swirled first. Speculation about her split from Liam, whispers of her glow, the way she clutched her stomach protectively. But when Steffi cornered her at Forrester and demanded the truth, Hope cracked. She was expecting. and she didn't know who the father was. That revelation sent shockwaves across the Forrester and Logan families. Liam was stunned. Their marriage was already hanging by a thread, and the idea that the baby might not be his was the final cut. He walked out without a word, leaving Hope devastated. But worse than Liam's silence was Paris's. Paris didn't confront Hope. She didn't scream or cry. She just watched, calculated, waited, and then she acted. The first attack was subtle. Herbal teas, supplements, just something to help you relax. Hope trusted her. Why wouldn't she? Paris was Thomas's wife, now part of the extended family. She appeared supportive, comforting, a pillar of calm while Hope crumbled under anxiety. But behind her smiles, Paris was lacing every beverage with a carefully sourced compound, a blend just potent enough to increase the risk of miscarriage under stress. She wasn't trying to kill the child outright. She was waiting for the perfect moment when emotional shock and physical imbalance would do the job for her. Meanwhile, Thomas was spiraling. He had been trying to keep his marriage intact, hoping his betrayal would stay hidden, but as Hope's pregnancy became public, so did the speculation. Ridge pulled him into private meetings, asking hard questions. Steffi glared at him across the Forrester table. Even Eric's disappointment was palpable. Then came the paternity test. Hope, desperate for clarity, consented to the test under Steffi's urging. But as the day approached, both Thomas and Liam faced sleepless nights. Thomas prayed that Liam would be the father. He couldn't bring another scandal to the family, not after everything they'd survived. Liam, equally terrified, knew that if the child wasn't his, he might lose Hope forever. But what neither of them realized was that someone else had plans for that result. Paris wasn't content to let fate decide. She intercepted the lab tech before the results were finalized and offered a generous bribe. She had no idea who the actual father was. It didn't matter. The goal was chaos. She instructed the technician to alter the report, make it inconclusive, cast doubt on both men, and fuel the fire of mistrust. When the results came back with the note paternity indeterminate, retest required, the eruption was volcanic. Hope broke down. Liam accused Thomas of tampering. Thomas, blindsided, accused Liam. Brooke and Ridge stepped in, each defending their own. Paris stood quietly in the corner, feigning shock, hiding the thrill of watching them destroy each other. But even that wasn't enough. As Hope's pregnancy advanced, Paris accelerated her plan. She staged an accident, something simple, something that would never trace back to her. A wet staircase at the Forrester office. Hope slipped. She was rushed to the hospital, screaming in pain, fearing the worst. But the baby survived, and the doctors discovered something even more shocking. The baby was developing faster than expected. That detail, minor as it seemed, shifted the timeline, and suddenly, Thomas realized something that stopped his heart cold. If the baby was further along than originally thought, there was a high chance that Liam was the father, not him. Devastated, Thomas confronted Hope. She admitted that she and Liam had one last night together before the separation. It was the night before Thomas's wedding. The same night she realized she couldn't marry Liam anymore. The same night she ran to Thomas. That confession crushed him. Everything had been a lie. Her tears, her passion, her plea, it hadn't come from clarity, but from confusion. Thomas left without a word. Paris, seeing her husband unravel, tried to console him, but he saw through her now. Her manipulation, her cold control, the way she thrived on power. He realized too late that he had married someone just as dangerous as the woman who had once obsessed over him, and now that woman was carrying a child whose father was still a mystery. The scandal rocked Forrester Creations. Investors backed out. Press had a field day. Brooke publicly blamed Paris. Taylor stayed silent. Eric, heartbroken, withdrew from daily operations. And Hope, once the symbol of purity and forgiveness, became the epicenter of a public relations nightmare. In a final twist, Paris received a call from a European tabloid offering her a massive sum for an exclusive exposé. She accepted. Her revenge wasn't just personal, it was professional. She leaked every detail: the affair, the betrayal, the paternity drama, the altered test results. She painted herself as the wounded wife, victimized by a cheating husband and a scheming ex. The world believed her. And Hope? She was left with nothing but a crumbling reputation, a pregnancy shrouded in scandal, and the realization that the baby she carried might connect her to a man who would never forgive her, or worse, to a man she no longer loved. The truth still waits in a sealed envelope in a safe at the hospital. But no one dares open it now. Not yet.